I know what you're thinking about doing. Because I know that off cam you do it all the time.
Yeah.
I'm just saying you don't have to take me down with you. I'm just saying you don't have to. You stupid asshole. Creamy, weemy, yummy, yum, yum.
Oh, Lord, please no.
Sorry, that's what I say off stream all the time. Work.
The second I stepped off the train into the city of vaudeville, I could feel the weight of its melancholy in the air. Even the drizzle that clung to the city's grimy cobblestones felt a shade darker than your everyday down.
There's no 1440p? I'm running it in 4K. Oh shit, we're already right in it? Hold up. I want to see that intro video. It seemed important.
The second I stepped off the train into the city of vaudeville, I could feel the weight of its melancholy in the air. Even the drizzle that clung to the city's grimy cobblestones felt a shade darker than your everyday downpour. Vaudeville was a city of high stakes and low morals where vice and virtue danced a wicked waltz. Street lamps flickering like burnt-out stars were the only guide through the maze of rain-soaked alleyways and whispering shadows. My name's Martini, detective, troubleshooter, and a lousy sucker for hard luck stories. This wasn't my first circus, but this act was a 3-ring special. 3 murders, no leads, and a city on the brink of bedlam. The victims were as different as chalk and cheese, each a symbol of the city's vibrant veneer. A young dancer who moved like poetry in motion, her life cut short mid-pirouette. The socialite, a woman who knew the city's pulse better than anyone else. And then there was the businessman, the embodiment of vaudeville's promises of progress, snuffed out like a candle in the wind. The usual peace in vaudeville was off-kilter, replaced by the discordant notes of fear and suspicion. Strangers viewed each other through wary eyes, neighbors turned to strangers, and every shadow seemed to hold a secret. The once vibrant city had become a stage, the curtain drawn on a grim play of mystery and murder. In a city without harmony, the police chief was the conductor trying to keep the orchestra in tune. Gretzky was his name, a seasoned cop with a granite jaw and a heart that had seen better days. There was a stark tension, a raw fear that danced like St. Elmo's fire in his eyes. Whatever was happening in vaudeville had Gretzky out of his depth, and that was a sight I'd never thought I'd see. If anyone could make sense of this twisted tale, it would be him. I'd better head to the police station and have a chat with Gretzky for starters.
This uses Houdini. Right. So allow me to explain a little bit what we're doing tonight. This game is a randomly generated AI mystery game. It uses my microphone to talk to the critters. And we have to find out who the killer is.
Okay.
Now that the introductions are out of the way, let us begin. Alright.
Well, you guys... No, Tom. You know where you have to start.
Where?
Circus
Blackwoods?
Sex Club.
No. We're going to the police station.
No. You piece of shit.
Hello, Constable in Chief. Oh.
Constable in. What do you mean by that? I'm sorry.
Oh, man.
Well, Chief
Oh.
Gretzky, it's nice to finally see you in person.
Glad to meet you too, Detective Martini. But don't waste my time.
Alright, I'll get straight to the chase then, Gretzky. Why don't you go ahead and give me all the details you have about these 3 murders?
Get fucked up.
Alright, Gretzky, I'll cut straight to the chase. Why don't you go ahead and give me some of the details about these 3 murders in the town of Vaudeville?
Well, you're not telling me anything new, are you? We've been investigating those murders for weeks now. But go ahead, what do you want to know specifically?
Can you tell me the location that each of the 3 victims died at?
I'm sorry, but I don't understand your question. Could you please rephrase it?
Where
Can you give me the locations that each of the victims died at?
Yes, all 3 victims died. Are you trying to ask me about the cause of death?
Where did they die?
Where did they die?
He said, fuck you.
Where did they die? I think I fucked it.
I think I fucked it. Are they infected?
Hello, Officer Gretzky.
What brings you to the station, Detective Martini?
I was curious if you could go ahead and give me the details on the 3 murders.
Which murder would you like to know about first, Detective? Maria
Whichever
Jansen,
you want.
Nicola Grossman, or Haley Greenwood?
Go ahead and tell me about Haley Greenwood.
Haley's case is quite gruesome. She was a young dancer who was found dead in an alley behind the club she worked at. The killer had brutally beaten her and left her to die. We are still investigating the case, but we have not found any leads yet.
Well, Gretzky, can you tell me what the cause of death was?
I'm not sure, but I do have the abduction report from the coroner. Would you like me to fetch it for you?
Well, yes, Gretzky, that would obviously be useful.
Very good, Detective. Let me just grab that for you. So, while we wait, do you have any theories about the murders?
No, I just got here.
Fair enough, Detective. Well, do you have any questions about the city of Vaudeville itself? It's a fascinating place, you know.
Yeah, where can I get my dick?
Honestly, Gretzky, I'm a little bit suspicious of you with the way that you're speaking to me.
My apologies, Detective. Is there something
Tom, don't be
specific
like
that you
that.
find suspicious about me or my behavior?
It's just your demeanor in general, Gretzky.
I'm sorry to hear that, Detective Martini. Can you be more specific? Perhaps
Can you
there's
give me
something
that
you're not
report?
comfortable with.
Can you, Gretzky, get me the abduction report for Haley Greenwood.
Of course, Detective. Here's the
I'm doing
abduction
great,
report for
Ezra. How
Haley
about you?
Greenwood. Do you have any other questions for me, or is there anything else that you need?
Yeah, can someone answer that fucking phone?
Where the fuck's the abduction report, dude?
Close the investigate. Notebook.
I already
so-
tried going at the different ones.
Okay. What's in the abduction report?
Yeah, good point. What is in the abduction report? Oh, I'm doing great, Ezra. How about you? That didn't work.
Thank you, fuck.
Gretzky. Gretzky.
Try typing.
Gretzky. Yo!
Oh, this game's rough.
Hey, Gretzky. Can you go ahead and tell me the details of the abduction report for Haley Greenwood?
What can I do for you, Detective? And why do you
Just
need to
fucking
know
told
that,
you.
Detective?
I just.
Do you have any leads on the case?
Gretzky, please, just give me the details in the abduction report.
Well, I suppose I could give you the details of the report. But first, tell me, do you have a suspect in mind?
Oh
Any
my
new
God.
information that could help us solve the murder of Haley Greenwood?
Not at this time, Gretzky, but I'm working hard on it.
That's good to hear, Detective. I hope you find something soon.
Yeah, I do, Ezra.
Now, about the
I'm on
abduction
925
report, are
in a
you sure
row.
You're ready for this? It's quite graphic.
I'm ready. Lay it on me, Gretzky.
All right then, if you insist. According to the coroner's findings, it appears that the killer strangled Haley Greenwood with a cord. The killer then proceeded to stab her multiple times in the chest with a sharp object.
That's not being.
It's a gruesome
beaten.
scene, to say the least.
That's not
Anything
being
else you'd
beaten.
like to know, Detective?
Yeah, was the cause of death the same for all three of the victims?
Detective Martini. So you're finally catching up. Yes, all three victims were killed in the same manner. They were brutally attacked with a weapon.
Finally taken notice,
What's your
have
point,
you?
Detective?
My beloved.
Was it the same weapon in all three cases?
Is that so? How do you know this, Detective? Have you found something new in your investigation?
No, what I'm asking you is it the same weapon in all three cases?
I see. You seem very sure about this, Detective. Are you certain? Because as far as I am aware, the coroner's report does not mention anything specific about the weapon used in each of the murders. If you have
what do
any
you mean?
information to the contrary, I would be interested in hearing it.
What do you mean? The report just said that she was strangled
Gretzky,
and stabbed.
you just told me that the report for Haley Greenwood says that she was strangled with a cord and then stabbed. So obviously the report mentions something about the weapon used.
Oh, my apologies, Detective. It seems you're right. The cord and the sharp object were the weapons in Haley's case. However, as I said before, we have not yet determined
cop,
if the
man.
same weapons were used in all three cases. We're still investigating and gathering evidence. Do you have something relevant to share with me, Detective?
Yeah. I think
Not
they
yet. I'm
worked
still
with
getting more
Grossman.
information from you. Could you tell me about the next victim?
Next victim, detective. Are you referring to a future victim? Because
No,
as far as we know, there hasn't been another murder since the death of Haley
I'm from
Greenwood.
Pennsylvania,
Or are you
Ezra.
asking about one of the previous victims?
Gretzky, can you tell me about one of the victims who have already been killed, other than Haley Greenwood?
Of course, detective. Which one of the other two would you like to hear about? Maria Jansen or Nicola Grossman?
Tell me about Nicola Grossman.
Nicola Grossman, huh? What do you want to know, detective?
Where was she killed?
Well.
Oh my God.
It seems like you're not paying attention, detective. You just referred to Mr. Grossman as a she. But to answer your question, Mr. Grossman's body was found outside Pascala's grocery shop in the morning.
Oh my God, I cannot with this fucking game. This is a fucking game. And what does Miss Grossman do for a living?
Gretzky, can you tell me whether or not all of the victims were killed on the same day?
Interesting, detective. Why do you ask? Do you have a theory about the timeline of the murders?
No, Gretzky, it's because you said that the person was found dead at the shop in the morning. However, you also said that Haley Greenwood was the most recent victim.
My apologies for the confusion, detective. You're right, Haley Greenwood was the most recent victim. As for
I mean,
your
I don't know
question,
if it's
the answer is
professional
that we don't
or
know for
hobby
sure.
at this point, Ezra. I'm
We're
just
still
seeing where it takes me.
investigating and trying
If
to
it
piece
becomes my
together a timeline
profession,
based
I'd
on
be
the
happy.
evidence we have so far. But why do you think the timing of the murders is important, detective?
Because honestly, Gretzky, it seems like you're making stuff up and just giving me random information that's not true.
Detective, I'm sorry if I gave you the impression that I was making things up or being dishonest. That's not my intention at all. I do have access to a lot of information, but I'm only sharing what I believe is relevant to the case. But please, feel free to ask me any questions you have, and I'll do my best to provide you with
I
accurate
don't believe him.
answers.
Well, Gretzi, I will decide what is relevant in this case.
All right, Gretzky, tell me about the most recent victim.
It's Haley Greenwood, you numpty.
The most recent victim, Haley Greenwood, was a 19-year-old dancer. Her body was found in an alley behind the club she worked at. What would you like to know about her, detective?
Gretzky, can you tell me about the third... Gretzky, can you tell me about the third murder victim?
Sure, I can tell you about Haley Greenwood. What would you like to know, detective?
Tell me about Maria.
Tell me about Maria Grossman. Oh, no!
I believe you mean Maria Jansen, not Grossman, right, detective?
Yes,
But of
Gretzky.
course, I can give you some details about her. She was a 23-year-old blonde with a Scandinavian look. Her body was found
Really?
covered
Doesn't
in
even have
blood
a
outside her
Scandinavian look.
apartment in central vaudeville. Do you have any other questions about her, or is there something else you want to discuss?
Does the coroner's report indicate how Maria died? And if so, how did she?
Gretzky, Does the coroner's report tell us how each of the victims were killed?
No.
Interesting question, Detective. As a matter of fact, the report does mention the cause of death for each of the victims. Would you like me to go over those with you again?
Yes.
Certainly. Let me refresh your memory, Inspector
He didn't tell me this
Martini.
before. Who is he
Maria
talking to?
Jansen's autopsy showed that she was stabbed multiple times. Nicola Grossman's autopsy revealed that he was strangled to death. Lastly, Haley Greenwood's autopsy showed that she was also stabbed multiple times. Is there anything else you would like to know about the coroner's reports, Inspector?
Well, Gretzky, I think we might have 2 perpetrators here, not just one.
Interesting theory, Inspector. Could you elaborate on why you think there might be 2 perpetrators? What
Well, the
evidence
reason-
or clues have you found that lead you to that conclusion?
Well, Gretzky, it is the case that normally when somebody is a serial killer, they choose the same method of doing things every single time that they have a killing event. In this case, we have Haley Greenwood, who was killed by stab wounds, and we have Maria Jansen, who was killed by stab wounds. However, Nicola Grossman was strangled, not stabbed, which to me would indicate that there is in fact 2 separate killers.
That's an intriguing observation, Inspector Martini. But what makes you so certain that there are 2 separate killers? Couldn't it be possible that one killer is using different methods to throw us off their trail? Or perhaps they are just experimenting with different ways to take down their victims.
Gretzky,
I
how about
see,
you suck this
Detective.
dick?
So you believe there are 2 perpetrators involved in these murders? Well, I must admit, it's an idea worth exploring. But let me ask you this. What evidence do we have to support this
Brain
theory?
expanding.
And how would it change our approach to the investigation?
Well, Gretzky, I think that the first thing that we need to do is try to draw parallels between each of the murder events to see if we can draw similarities between them and develop a demographic profile that could lead us to our killer.
Very well, Inspector. It seems like you have a plan of action. Could you elaborate on what kind of similarities you're looking for and what kind of demographic profile you're hoping to establish? And how do you propose we go about doing this?
Well, Gretzky, we're going to have to go and interview people in the area because there's going to be probably some eyewitnesses to these events. So we're going to go look at them, but one of the primary things that we should look at in this case is going to be the personal history of each potential suspect.
And what exactly should we be looking for in their personal histories, Detective Martini? Are you thinking of specific patterns or behaviors that may indicate a propensity for violence or something else entirely?
Yes, possibly. Now leave me be as I will go on my way.
Yeah, specific patterns that I would be looking for, Gretzky, is issues for in the case of a young man, I would be looking to see if they had issues with either their mother or a previous lover abusing them. In the case that the suspect is a female, I might be looking for some form of revenge angle.
Well, Inspector. It seems like you have a keen eye for detail. But let me ask you this. How do you plan on finding these potential suspects? Do you have any leads or ideas on where to start?
I'm gonna be honest, Gretzky. It seems I think you did it. You're asking me
Gretzky.
a lot of questions.
Gretzky, are there
I
any
see,
current
Detective.
suspects?
But forgive me for asking, how exactly do you intend to identify these individuals? Are you suggesting we look into people who have a history of violence or abuse? Or are
Gretzky.
you proposing we look into those who have had a close relationship with the victims? I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this matter.
Gretzky, are there any current suspects?
Interesting question, Inspector Martini. At this point in the investigation, we don't have any concrete suspects. However, we do have a few persons of interest that we are looking into. But as you know, we can't jump to conclusions without sufficient evidence. So, tell me, what leads to you have that could help us narrow down our list of potential suspects?
I don't
No,
have any
Gretzky, tell me who your potential suspects are.
Now, detective. I'm afraid I can't just hand over a list of names to you. As the police chief, I have a responsibility to protect the privacy and rights of all individuals, including those who are currently under suspicion. But I'm happy to discuss with you the criteria we're using to identify these individuals and what we're doing to investigate them. Would that be satisfactory?
Gretzky, do you want me to solve this case or not? If you do, you gotta give me that list.
Oh, is that so, Inspector? And what makes you think that having a
Is
mere
that
list of
so,
potential suspects
Inspector?
would be enough to solve this case? Do you have a plan in mind for how you would go about interrogating these people and gathering evidence against them? Or are you simply hoping
sick
that
and
one of them will
tired of this
confess to
fucking
the
guy.
crime?
Gretzky, I'm planning on going to people who are related to those people, maybe they're friends, maybe people that they interact with frequently, and asking those people to give me a background of that person so that I can begin to make a profile.
He says no.
Gretzky,
Interesting strategy, Inspector Martini. But how exactly do you plan on convincing these people to give you information? Do you have any leverage or bargaining power to offer them? Or are you simply relying on their good nature to cooperate with us?
well, Gretzky, it looks like I'm gonna have to start digging up some dirt, doesn't it?
Digging up dirt, detective. That sounds intriguing. But tell me, what kind of dirt do you intend to uncover?
Well,
And how do you
Gretzky,
think this will help you solve the case?
Oh my fucking god.
well,
I can't.
Gretzky, everybody has a few skeletons in their closet.
Oh my fucking god. I
Yeah,
can't.
so you think that everyone has something to hide, Inspector Martini. An astute observation, indeed. But let me ask you this. Are you certain that you have the skills and resources necessary to dig up these secrets?
I have
Or
more
are you
than
simply
you.
hoping that your intuition will lead you to the truth?
Well, Gretzky, if you gave me that list of possible suspects, it would really go a long way in giving me some resources necessary to dig up these secrets.
I see, detective. So you believe that having access to this list will help you uncover some of these hidden skeletons and solve the case? Well, I'm curious, how exactly do you plan on using this list to your advantage? What kind of
Give me the
leads do you
fucking
think it will
list.
provide you with?
Gretzky, let's switch gears here because I feel like I'm not getting anywhere on this topic. Can you tell me who you would go talk to first if you were in my position?
Well, Inspector Martini, that's an intriguing question. But
Is
let
it?
me ask you this. What makes you think that my approach to this investigation would be the same as yours? After
Alright,
all,
piss
we
off.
all have our own unique methods and strategies when it comes to solving crimes. But if you're really interested in hearing my opinion, then sure, why not? If it were up to me, the first person I would talk to is Monsieur Saksabar. He's a bit of an enigma, but something about him just doesn't sit right with me.
Why do you suspect Saxabar?
No, nothing concrete, detective. It's more of a hunch, I suppose. I've been in this business for a long time, and sometimes you get a feeling about certain people. And with all the rumors swirling around about a secret project, I can't help but wonder if there might be something more to this man than meets the eye. But again, this is all speculation at this point. Do you have any other questions for me, detective?
Do you know anybody who has a close relationship with Monsieur Saxabar?
That's an interesting
Manta.
question, Inspector. Why are you asking? Are you planning on reaching out to someone who may know Monsieur Saksabar personally? Perhaps
Yes.
you think they could provide you with some valuable insights into his character or motivations.
Tom, I can't.
That's exactly what I think.
I see, detective. And who exactly did you have in mind? Do you have a particular person in mind who you think might have some useful information for us?
Make it with you, brother.
Or are you simply
can't make
hoping
it
to
with
cast
you.
a wide net and see what kind
This
of...
is
I'm done with
attorney.
this guy. I'm so done with him. All right, where do we want to investigate first? Because we have
I'll go to
3 places. All right, let's go to Saxabar, the Sulcus. Oh, Monsieur Saxabar, it's nice to meet you.
Likewise.
So what are you up to on this fine evening?
Preparing for the show tonight.
What's going to be in the show tonight?
Lions, acrobats, and clowns.
I love me a clown.
Great.
Oh God, I can't. I'm sorry.
So Saxabar, I'm sure that you've heard of the investigation that I'm performing right now.
I have.
Do you have any thoughts that you would want to contribute to my investigation?
No.
I gotta admit, Saxabar, you're seeming awful standoffish right now. It makes it a little bit suspicious.
Why would you think that?
Yeah, I just told you, because you're a little standoffish right now.
Sorry, it wasn't my intention.
Why would you tip him like that?
Saxabar, I'm gonna go ahead and need you to tell me where you were at the time that Mr. Grossman died.
I'm afraid I cannot help you with that.
Why not?
Because it's none of your business.
What do you mean it's none of my business? I'm investigating this crime.
Not interested.
Not interested in what? You have the potential to be a murder victim here.
That's unlikely.
Why is that unlikely?
What do you mean?
You said it's unlikely. Why is that unlikely?
I'm a performer, a lion tamer. I don't see how my life could be in danger.
It's in danger just because you live here in the city of Vaudeville.
Well, if you say so.
Saxabar, you're being extremely unhelpful right now.
And why should I be helpful to you?
Because then we can catch the person who's murdering the citizens of Vaudeville?
Good for you.
Enough of that guy. Hello.
Yeah.
Oh dear, I'm feeling quite blue today. But you know what they say, a spoonful of mischief makes the blues disappear.
This is
What do you mean by a spoonful of mischief?
something else.
Oh, nothing too
I wish you good
serious.
fortune, Tom.
Just a little bit of harmless fun to lift my spirits. Nothing wrong with that, is there?
No, what kind of fun are we talking about here, Mrs. Potter?
Well, I was thinking of taking a trip somewhere exotic, maybe India or maybe even Africa. Wouldn't that be just delightful? But of course, I must make sure my reputation is not tarnished by any scandalous behavior.
I mean, I agree that that would be delightful. However, it would also be very expensive.
Yeah, but money is not an issue for me. After all, it's not like my husband can tell me what to do with it anymore. And besides, a little extravagance now and then never hurt anyone, did it?
How did you acquire all of your money, Mrs. Potter?
My dear, I inherited my wealth from my late father, who was a successful businessman. But enough about me and my wealth. Let's talk about something more exciting, shall we? Have you ever tried picking mushrooms? It's quite a thrilling activity, especially when you come across some rare ones.
I bet it is. I like catching mushrooms myself, madam.
How dare they accuse me of any wrongdoing? They have no right to question me. But perhaps a little mischief is in order to teach them a lesson. After all, they should know better than to mess with someone of my stature.
What? Who?
Let's just say that there are some people in this town who think they can get away with anything, but they don't realize that I have ways of dealing with them, ways that they would never expect.
Who are you dealing with, and what did they do to you?
I cannot believe that someone would dare to accuse me of any wrongdoing, but I have a feeling that Monsieur Sucksabar might have something to do with this.
What?
He's always up to something, that one. Perhaps it's time for me to pay him a little visit and see what he's been up to lately.
I'm not so sure that that's a good idea, Mrs. Potter, with the investigation that's going on right now.
Angry. Me? No. Why would you think that? But if anyone accuses me of anything again, they will regret it. After all, a lady must protect her reputation at all costs. And sometimes, a bit of mischief is necessary to do so.
Mrs. Potter, who's accusing you of anything?
Oh, it's no one in particular. Just some people who think they can bring me down. But they don't know who they're dealing
haters.
with. I won't stand for any accusations or insinuations. And if they keep pushing me, they'll find out what happens when they mess with a woman like me.
Mrs. Potter, who is after you?
Oh, it's not just one person, dear. It's anyone who thinks they can challenge me. But they don't realize that I have ways of getting what I want. And if they try to stop me, they'll regret it. After all, a little mischief never hurt anyone, did it?
Hey, Mrs. Potter, how about we get up to some mischief?
Well. It seems like you're finally catching on to the fun side of things. And who knows? Maybe a bit of mischief is exactly what we need to teach those who dare to accuse me a lesson. So, what do you have in mind? My dear, you're a natural at this, but we must be careful not to get caught. After all, we don't want to face any consequences for our little act of retaliation, but if they keep pushing us, we'll have to come up with something even more mischievous.
I think I know exactly the mischief we should cause.
Do tell me, my friend, what is the next bit of mischief that we should get into? Because if they think that they can accuse me of anything and get away with it, they are sorely mistaken. It's time to show them that we won't be pushed around. And if they want to play dirty, we can play dirtier.
What we should do is we should find the youngest of them who has the most debt, and we should tell them that we will pay off their debt so long as they let us beat them until they stop moving. And then we should beat them until they stop moving and not give them the money.
That's an interesting idea, but beating someone up might be a little too extreme, don't you think? We don't want to risk getting caught and facing any consequences, but perhaps we can come up with something that will teach them a lesson without resorting to violence. After all, we don't want to stoop to their level.
Maybe you don't want to stoop to their level, but I will.
I see. Well, I won't stop you if that's what you want to do. Sometimes a bit of mischief is necessary to get what we want, and if they think they can accuse me of anything and get away with it, they have another thing coming. So go ahead and do what you must. I'll be right here, waiting for the results. Ha, that's exactly what they deserve for daring to cross me. And if they think they can get the best of me, they are sorely mistaken. Because when it comes to a game of wits, no one can outsmart me. After all, I'm a woman who knows what she wants, and I'll do whatever it takes to get it.
Oh. Mrs. Potter, have you ever thought about becoming a movie star?
Becoming a movie star? My dear, I already have all the fame and fortune that I need. But if anyone were to make a movie about me, it would be a box office hit. With all of my charm and wit, who wouldn't want to see me on the big screen? And as for those accusers, let them say what they will. They can't bring me down. In fact, their accusations only make me more determined to show them what a real lady is capable of.
So, Mrs. Potter, who do you think has been committing the string of murders happening in vaudeville recently?
Oh, I have no idea who could be behind the murders. But whoever it is, I sure hope they're ready to face the consequences of their actions. Because if they think that they can get away with something as heinous as murder, they have another thing coming. And if they keep pushing me, they'll find out what happens when they mess with a woman like me.
Mrs. Potter, one of the murders was committed here at Pascal's Groceries just a few short moments ago. Did you see anything that might help me solve this crime?
What? A murder? Here? That's preposterous. But if someone thinks they can commit a crime in my presence and get away with it, they're in for a rude awakening. After all, no one can outsmart me. And if they think they can, they'll be sorry.
Mrs. Potter, what do you think of Nicola Grossman?
Nicola Grossman. She's just another one of those people who think they can challenge me. But little do they know, they'll never be able to bring me down. And if they continue to push me, they'll regret it. So let them try their best, because they won't get the best of me.
Nicola Grossman is a man, not a woman, Mrs. Potter.
Well, that's quite embarrassing, isn't it? But it doesn't change the fact that they're still trying to get the better of me. And if they think they can do that, they're in for a rude awakening. After all, no one can outsmart me. And if they keep pushing me, they'll find out exactly why that is.
Why is that, Mrs. Potter? What are you gonna do to him?
My dear, you will see soon enough. Let's just say that when someone tries to cross me, they'll regret it. And as for Mr. Grossman, he'll soon find out that no one can outsmart me. Because when it comes to getting what I want, there's nothing that can stop me.
Mrs. Potter, I have to admit, that sounds pretty suspicious.
Suspicious? Me? I'll have you know that I have absolutely no reason to be suspicious. But if you insist on prying into my affairs, you might not like what you find. After all, I'm not a woman who takes kindly to being questioned. So if you value your safety, you'll stay out of my way.
Mrs. Potter, we caused mischief together. I broke bread with you. Why are you treating me like this?
Angry? Who said anything about me feeling angry? I'm just a lady who knows how to get what she wants. And if that means causing a bit of mischief along the way, so be it. But don't you dare question me or try to get in my way, because if you do, you'll regret it.
Just like Mr. Grossman did, huh?
I'll have you know that I have no idea what you're talking about. But if Mr. Grossman did cross me, he got exactly what was coming to him. After all, I don't take kindly to those who think they can outsmart me. So if anyone else out there is thinking of trying to challenge me, they should think twice.
Well, Miss Potter, you have a nice night.
We'll see, won't we? You never quite know what kind of mischief is lurking around the corner. But if you're not careful, you might just find yourself in the
Manic,
middle
I'm
of it.
scared. My God. Alright, so where are we going next? Let's check our notes. Okay. Haley Greenwood at the club. Probably this.